thoughts are always fun. Always very fun. I came across a tweet recently, literally just a few minutes ago, by Renegade Kangaroo, talking about how, asking everyone the question, how has the fandom helped you guys? How is it, what has the fandom done for you? And I just had the urge to, take out the mic and record a video. So technically this is a response to Renegade Kangaroo. I'm gonna give some trigger warnings for this, because I'm gonna leave them on screen, so if any of that is a trigger for you, go watch some of my other videos, or support some other amazing furry content creators. But yeah, if, those triggers of yours, I recommend you, not watching this video. Around the time I found this fandom, I was nearing about 15 years old. To give a time frame, I'm 18 right now. And to give an insight as to who I was back then, I was introverted. I didn't like people. I guess I didn't like people was the right term. I was terrified of people. I was so scared of people. I was extremely paranoid, and around the time I was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. This all came about after I was getting bullied really badly, and what made it worse is that the people who I was getting bullied by was my friend group. This new guy came into our friend group and he did not like me. For some reason, he just had it out for me. He didn't like my hair color. He didn't like the way that I talked. He didn't like the way that I walked, because I slouched a lot, and he would tell me to walk straight, and he would grab the back of my bag and force my back up straight and push me forward and tell me to walk straight, which is nothing to pick on me about. He would make fun of my drawings. He would make fun of my YouTube channel. He would make fun of everything about me. He just did everything. Everything that I did to him was a joke to him. Eventually my friends started really liking him for some reason, and they all started joining in on it too. And at first I did not mind it. I thought it was fine until it just started getting old, and I would tell them to stop. They would tell me that I'm being too sensitive, and I became a punchline in the group. No one ever wanted to talk to me seriously, especially because at the time I had gone through something traumatic, and they would just tell me that I'm looking for attention every time I brought it up. And eventually I started getting very annoyed, as you would. And I started lashing out at them all the time, because I would try to do something, they wouldn't take me seriously, and I would get annoyed. They'd tell me that I'm no fun to be around anymore. Eventually this started taking a toll on me, and I started having thoughts that I need to leave my friend group, and of course, me being confused, oh, they're just my friends, they don't mean it. But it was just really hurting me. It didn't matter how many times I would tell them I didn't like this, they would constantly tell me that I'm just being too sensitive and that I need to suck it up. Then one day I lied about not wanting to do this thing because I was that my asthma was at me, and they took this as attention seeking, when in reality I was feeling very anxious, and I didn't have the words to put to what I was feeling. I was afraid if I messed up, they would make fun of me, and even if I had the words to say what I wanted to say, they probably would have told me I was overreacting to begin with. And so there was no, way out of this. This escalated into a massive fight, and I had to admit to something that wasn't true. And that's my biggest regret. They thought I was doing this for attention, and I admitted to this. I admitted to attention seeking because I just wanted to end the fight. What I didn't realize is that this was going to escalate everything. They would stop talking to me. They told me that no one cares about me and that they run me out of our group chat. They had spread a rumor about me, had told one of my friends, or, well, not really friend, but told my friend group. One person had told my friend group about how I used to be fat, in quotation marks, in primary school, and then proceeded to tell me no wonder I went through an eating disorder. When I was sick and I eventually came back to school, one of them had said that I might have given them an illness, and said they're going to give it back to me and hopefully I'll die from it, and started to cough on me. They'd put their rubbish in my, the same person had put their rubbish in my bag and used me as a trash bin. And they were all in on a joke when one of them had asked me out. Played it on for about 2 hours until the end of the school, and when he said that, we'd make arrangements and talk about it after school, and when I went up to them, they had said, "Well, wait, do you actually think that was real? Do you honestly think anyone will actually love you?" And they all proceeded to sit there and laugh at me. After a lot of these incidents, I started to feel anxious. Even just the simple things of them and just insulting me, I would take the long way around to the lockers, and if I still seen them, I would hide in the bathroom and then wait for them to leave so I could go to my locker. When you start avoiding your own friend group, that's when you should know that your friend group is a piece of shit. I then started to have panic attacks, and I didn't feel safe with my friend group anymore. But I had nowhere else to go, so what was I meant to do? Eventually, I had to report it after I had come clean to my parents about what was happening. And it eventually had gotten so bad to the point where my school had to tell my parents that I couldn't stay in school anymore, and I had to go get help. And that's when I got my diagnosis and I started going to therapy. This was at the darkest point in my life. I still live with social anxiety disorder. I still think about this every day, and it's been 4 years since this has happened to me, and I still think about it every day. It really makes me so upset, and it's traumatizing, to say the least. Even now, recording this video is very difficult, because it's something that really affected me. I had lost my entire friend group, and it sucks. It really, really sucked. Eventually, when I got back to school, the next year, my whole summer was just spent in therapy. And when I got back to school, I had no friend group to go to. I tried going back to my old friend group, and they weren't having it. So eventually, I just had to realize that I was on my own. I had one friend who saw what was going on, and I'm so grateful for them. If it wasn't for them, I don't even know if I'd be here. They were the ones to help me report everything, and was a friend to me when everyone else hated me. And I am so grateful for what they've done. They've done so much more that they didn't have to do, and they did. And I appreciate them so much. And they know this whole story inside out, and I don't know. I really appreciate them for everything that they've done. but even just with them, I felt alone. And I was having anxiety attacks every week. A lot of the time I was going home because of them, and they were there with me through it all. But at lunch, they were still friends with my ex-best friend, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go back to them, especially because they had done stuff that really fucking hurt me. So I would go to the library and sit by myself, and I did that a lot. I would just go to the library and sit by myself, or I'd just walk around and make it look like I wasn't alone. In fact, that was my reality. I used the internet a lot around this time, and at the time I had come across the Therian community, and unfortunately I became a Therian. That unfortunately is because it was an unhealthy coping mechanism. But through that, I found furry, and I thought, you know what, I have no fucks to give anymore, might as well try it. And I just kind of seen the whole positive and loving side of the fandom. And also around this time, I was having thoughts that I was LGBT, and the Furry Fandom gave me that safe space to actually, help with that, because I didn't know where else to go for LGBT support at that time. And it was just the whole positive thing that I liked, and oh my god, you're cool, let me give you a hug type thing, where everyone is accepted. And that was the thing that I liked the most about the fandom, especially because I felt like I couldn't be accepted anywhere because of my situation and what I was going through, and also because I was in denial of me having a mental illness and thinking that I was broken. It got to the point where I dropped my interest in music, which I highly regret, because if I didn't, drop it, I probably would be pretty good at music now. But unfortunately, that's not how life rolls. With the fandom putting out that portrayal of, oh, you're cool, let me give you a hug type thing, and how it was affecting me and making me pretty happy, I started to realize that there were some people in my school who kind of gave off that vibe. Although I had this disorder, there was some people who I did talk to, but I wouldn't really consider them friends. I held them at arm's length. One day, one of these people who I knew from first year and knew my entire situation came up to me and were like, hey, look, I know that, with everything going on, I was just wondering, hey, do you want to hang out with a couple of my friends at lunch? And I didn't know how to feel, but I decided, hey, might as well. And when I got there was someone else there that I knew, who is now one of my best friends, and they know who they are. And I knew that person because they were in my science class, and also seen the murder of my Chico Marielle at my music trip. Let me just tell you, never put your drink in your bag with your Chico Marielle and your chips, because it never goes well, because especially when the lid pops open and your Coke goes everywhere and your bag gets drowned, yeah, it's never fun. Never fucking do it. I will never forget that lunchtime. I had never laughed that much in so long. And from then on, I would go there every lunch. There'd be times when I would get overwhelmed because of people, and if I'm, becoming friends with a friend group again, they're gonna leave me, and I would walk away, and they knew something was off with me, and so they kind of just let me do my thing and let me come back. And I just kind of noticed something differently. Whenever I would have, my self-degrading humor come in, and I, self-degrade myself, they would tell me the opposite, and I would reply, why are you guys being so nice to me? That's never something you should have to question. It's common sense, it's never something that you should have to justify, it's just common sense. And that's when I realized, oh, this is how people are meant to treat you. Oh, okay. Yeah. Around this time, I had actually made Kane. He wasn't meant to be my persona. He was just a character that I made for fun. And I just thought he was so cool that I just made him my persona. So with that combination of him being someone that I aspired to be, with a friend group who was encouraging me to say nice things about myself, I kind of realized, oh, maybe I don't have to be stuck in this space that I've been in. Maybe I can grow out of it. They started inviting me out to places and, going out. I hadn't done that in such a long time, and I hadn't really done that really at all. I'll never forget going to my dad being like, hey, I kind of need a ride, and he was like, why? He's like, oh, I've met these people at school, and him getting really excited, and I could just see tears in his eyes, and him, trying to keep cool, and he was really excited, but he was also, getting really emotional. My dad is known for that. These friends were also very supportive, and they would, when I was part of the Furry Fandom, they didn't care. When I was bisexual, they didn't care. When I came out as bisexual, they didn't care. And if anything, they were just, just glad to see me and actually being good friends. I'll never forget the time I went home from an anxiety attack and getting a text off one of them, hey, where were you at lunch? And I was like, oh, I had to go home. And they're like, oh, it's okay, we were looking for you. I cried from that message. I didn't think anyone would care to look for me. I didn't think anyone actually fucking cared. Sometimes I didn't even think they'd care if I was gone tomorrow. That summer, I was able to face my fears and go out and just have friends and be a normal teenager. And even when I got anxious, going up to go pay for my food or ask for my order, they would order it for me instead. And when I would have an awkward moment and start freaking out, they would reassure me that it's okay and everyone has their awkward moments. And that's all I really needed. I didn't need anything else. And I'm just so glad for that. It got to the point where they started helping me out of situations that I didn't think anyone else would be able to help me out of. And I didn't think they'd care about me that much enough to, try to help me out. And if they hadn't tried to help me out, I don't even know if I'd be here. And I'm just so grateful for that. So where does this leave me now? Well, I have a persona now who is a beautiful boy, and I have me, a beautiful non-binary person. I don't think without them I would have realized I had worth, that I had something to give, and I'm just immensely grateful for that. There's not a day I go by without being, incredibly grateful for what has happened. But with that, the fandom has also really helped me with my creativity and being able to give me the creative outlet to create a character that I could aspire to be, especially when I was in the lowest of lows. I created Kane to be someone who I wanted to be, and I'm kind of halfway there. Although Kane has a bit more of a played-up thing that, of course, I would never really want to have, with him being very flirtatious and charismatic. I wouldn't say I want to aspire to be that, but he also embodies a little bit of the strength and the shit and the absolute bullshit that I've been through. Because there's so much more that I could go into, but I'm just not gonna touch on. Just because I feel like it doesn't have any significance right now. But I can finally say right now that I'm halfway being there to almost being what Kane is to me. And I'm pretty happy about that. The fandom has given me the strength to be who I am and aspire to help me to grow as a person. I am no longer the 14-year-old who will lock themselves in their room and, make videos and who would make videos day in, day out and not talk to anybody and not take care of myself, to now an 18-year-old who makes art and YouTube videos that I genuinely care about and not for validation, and who has friends and is going to college and does I'm in a theater group and I do all these things now, and I'm out of the closet, I'm bisexual and I'm trans, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to come out. So where does this leave me now with Kane? I'm unsure. As much as I've started to kind of grow into his character a little bit more, I'm also feeling some things just aren't fitting anymore. I don't know if I really want that to be a representation of me, especially because I feel like we all struggle with what do we want to represent ourselves, especially with how I've grown since I've created him when I was 15. I'm still struggling with that. When it comes to his design, there's not a lot that I really want to change. The stuff that I have changed has been his blue-tipped feet, which is basically for fursuit reasons. I don't want to have white feet paws, then that I have to clean because that'd be annoying as hell. His chest floof, because his chest floof is adorable. His piercings, because I feel like piercings are more a representation of me. Especially his black studs, which is something I wear a lot. The lip piercing, I haven't got my lip pierced because of COVID, although I am planning to get my lip pierced at one point. And his Z-nips, I seen someone's persona with heart nips on Furry Fandom, and I was like, I want to add that to Kane. That's literally it. There was nothing else other than that. It's like Z-nips. I don't know if I want to keep them though. I might get rid of them. I'm not entirely sure. I thought they were cute. I might keep them. Like, maybe I'll put it in some art, maybe I won't. But right now, I think they're cute as hell, so I'm gonna keep them. But really, when it comes to his character is where I'm struggling at the moment. I don't know exactly what way I want him to present himself. I kind of want to have him a little bit cynical, but a part of me doesn't really want me to keep him as cynical as much, because I can be cynical at times, but at the same time, I don't know if I want that to be a representation of myself, if that makes sense. To have him as a positive, uplifting character, he doesn't seem that type of way. Not to say that he isn't positive, but Ace of Hearts Fox type positive. That's more of Vixen's vibe. Kane's vibe for positivity is more of being realistic, tough love type thing. That's the way I see Kane. He doesn't pussyfoot around you. He'll just tell you stuff straight up, So I'm just kind of struggling at the moment. Right now, I'm just, how do I represent him? Especially with my old personas, or my other personas. Vixen is like where I am right now. She is my reminder to take care of myself and to love myself and not to go too hard on myself, because beating myself up is like my worst habit. I've been told that by teachers, I've been told that by my friends, I've been told that by my parents. It's like my biggest habit, or my biggest bad habit. So she's kind of my reminder to chill out, it's fine, And also she's also a representation of my femininity as well, which is very rare, but also something I can be a bit insecure about. And then there's Fenrir, who is my way of going back on my past self to tell myself, oh, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. And also a representation of my anxiety, and also a throwback to my original persona Zeke, who was nothing more than an anthropomorphic version of 15-year-old me. So I'm able to kind of go back and be like, to 15-year-old me and be like, hey, it's fine, which is why he's a German Shepherd, but also because I wanted a German Shepherd Sona, and I didn't like Fenrir's old sign. It's really ugly. Even now when I look back, it's so ugly. So I just kind of gave Fenrir that, and ever since I've loved Fenrir so much more because he's so cute. He's a cute boy. So when you have that, you know, Vixen being, you know, my reminder not to beat myself up, and then you have Fenrir, my way of going back to myself and be like, hey, it's okay, and to represent my anxiety and also my insecurities in general. Kane, I'm kind of leaning towards him having to be a byproduct of all the shit that I've gone through and being anthropomorphized like that, if that makes sense. But also, in what way, what is the best version of myself? What is the ideal best version of myself? And putting that into Kane, because I want Kane to be a character in his own right, but I also want him to be representative of me. So, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm struggling right now at the moment. I'm gonna try a bunch of different sketches of what type of art I'd want him to be in. Stuff that's representative of me and stuff that's just, you know, him being him. And then also, I'm probably gonna do multiple different ref sheets. This is just gonna be one of them because I'm not happy with this one that I've made. Specifically with the back view. The front view I'm okay with. The paws could be improved, especially because one of the feet paws is bigger than the other. But the back view is terrible, so I want to redo that and redo the back view. And that's really what this video is, from where I've come from in this fandom to me now in this fandom. And, you know, things change. Nothing stays the same, and it's hard to accept change, but at the same time, change can also immensely improve your life, and sometimes change doesn't happen just like that. Sometimes you have to make the change. There's a lot of things that I've had to do to be where I am today, and also growth isn't always comfortable. Growth is sometimes really uncomfortable, but overall it is good for you in the long run. And you just have to be consistent on it, especially because I hadn't done self-care since June of last year, and it's immensely impacted me. So right now I'm getting back on the path of self-care and taking care of myself, so Vixen's kind of shining through at the moment. But yeah, I'm just going through a lot of change at the moment, and nothing stays the same. Things change. And that's really all I have to really say for this video. Sorry if it was a tearjerker, but I've been through a lot, and I just feel like it's very important to talk about. I'll see you guys later.